Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am so glad that you're here with me right now. My name is Shelley Wallace, and I'm a life coach specializing in showing high-achieving, heart-centered women how to transform their stress into greater focus, energy, and happiness. The question that we're going to be exploring in our time together today is your addiction to struggle causing your emotional exhaustion? So I know that title packs a punch for sure, but there are a lot of us out there who are, believe it or not, addicted to struggle, or at least conditioned to struggle. So I'm going to just start by posing that question to you. So just sit for a moment and let this soak in. Are you addicted to struggle? And before you just be, kind of brush the question away and be like, oh, that would be crazy, really just give yourself a moment to think about it. If you're like me, perhaps you're someone who has always taken pride in being a really hard worker, for being really determined, for being somebody being known as somebody who has, overcome numerous challenges and adversities. Maybe you're somebody who is extremely passionate about the things that you care about. Maybe you're somebody who embraces numerous complex pursuits, sometimes maybe even all at the same time. While all of these are admirable traits and characteristics, could it be possible that you are also someone who resists ease, and thrives in the struggle, who thrives or perceives that they thrive on the struggle? And is it possible that all of this could be contributing to feelings of being stressed out, burned out, and emotionally exhausted and overwhelmed? So while I struggled to admit this, pun intended, I was faced with this question by my own coach, and I had to admit to myself that, yeah, I have been addicted to struggle for most of my life, actually. And when I really reflected on this question, and I went back in time and looked at my childhood and my adolescence and my early adulthood and then where I am now, I could see that struggle has definitely been a theme in my life. And being somebody who was raised by a single parent in a time when, like the 70s and the 80s, when that was not as socially accepted as it is now, and watching my mom work hard to provide for us, I can see that there were a lot of experiences and messages that I latched onto as a kid that have brought me to this place as an adult where I have a belief system around struggle. I guess it would probably be easiest for me just to share some of the thoughts and beliefs that I've had in the past and that I'm still working through on a daily basis, this conditioning to struggle. But here are some of the things that I have said to myself or believed about the world that have kept me addicted to struggle. The first one is life is hard, or the world is scary, right? Life is hard. The world is a scary place. We have to work hard. We have to be determined. We have to work hard to survive. Right? Survival is hard. Another one could be, this was one of mine, and it could be one for you too. I have to be perfect to be lovable. So that striving for perfection can create struggle, because we know that perfection is unattainable. And so if we've focused on that as our end goal, there's going to be a lot of struggle involved in trying to achieve perfection. I need to work harder than everybody else to prove that I'm worthy, to prove that I'm worthy of success, to prove that I'm worthy of what I have, to prove that I'm worthy of being loved, prove that I'm worthy of being accepted. How about I can't depend on anyone else? This is another big one, right? Or that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Or that when you ask for help, you're burdening somebody, and so you have to do it all yourself. Or if you're perfectionistic, you could also lean to, I have to do everything myself in order for it to be done right. So certainly, that resonates for me. I'm sure that for many of you, that's resonating for you as well. Or how about hard work and sacrifice have made me the person I am today? Like really thriving on telling those stories of all the dragons that you've had to slay to get to the place where you're at in your life. This one was a big one for me too. Money is hard to come by, and it's even harder to hang on to, right? Making money is work. Money is hard. It's hard. All of this is so hard. Kids are a lot of work. Relationships are a lot of work. Building a business is hard. Raising good kids is hard. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. And this one is a real little gem that, has been in my family for as long as I can remember. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So let that one soak in, right? So if I want to be strong, I have to be exerting this Herculean effort over everything that I'm facing, every challenge that I'm facing. Can you relate to any of those or to some version of those in your own life or in your own self-talk? It's a really powerful question to ask yourself. Like, am I addicted to this cycle of struggle, to this cycle of stress, to this cycle of overwhelm? And do I attach on some level a sense of my own self to these beliefs? So as I've gone through this cycle, again, I recognize that there have been some times too where I actually will even give up on something before I begin because I convince myself it's going to be too hard. I don't have the energy. This is going to be too much work. So I could give up before I even get started because I'm placing all my focus on the struggle. So the question then becomes, why am I doing this, right? Why would any of us do this? What does the struggle give me? And this is the next question for you to be pondering. So if some of this is resonating for you and you could see some of your own beliefs and thinking in the things that I've shared so far, the next question is, what does the struggle give you? What does stress and overwhelm give you? Because if it wasn't giving us something, we wouldn't be going there. And it hit me. What the struggle gives me is a distraction. The struggle gives me a distraction from confronting the aspects of myself that I would prefer not to be dealing with. So if I'm always immersing myself in the work and working hard and creating obstacles for myself, then I maybe don't have to confront the things that are making me uncomfortable, like maybe clearing some of the beliefs that I mentioned earlier that are rooted in, experiences that perhaps brought me fear, grief, guilt, shame, etc., because that can be very uncomfortable, sifting through all of those things. So you see, the struggle allows us to numb ourselves from the source of our unhappiness and often gives us the illusion that we have control. So when we're working really hard and we're on that treadmill and we're producing all the time, we are often under an illusion that we are controlling things that are external to us. And this is actually not the case. The only things that we have control over are the things that are internal to us. As we are so busy immersing ourselves in the work and in the struggle, in our work and in our struggle, it can lead us into a place of sheer exhaustion and ultimately sometimes even a collapse mentally and physically. And let's think about that, right? Because when we work ourselves so hard that we become sick, like we become sick and tired, like we're so tired, we become sick and we're so sick and tired, that then gives us a legitimately and socially acceptable reason to tap out. So if we work ourselves into a place of exhaustion and into a place of mental and physical collapse, well, now we have a societally acceptable reason to get off of that treadmill and to take a break and to regroup and to, practice self-care and do the things that we need to do to bring us back to a place of well-being. So can you relate to this in any way? What I can say to you is that when I am struggling, I am 100% in my head. So I am disconnected from the neck down. I've disconnected myself from my feelings. I've disconnected myself from my body, from signs my body might be sending to me that, it's time to slow down and it's time to take better care of myself and so on. I go into my head and I get hyper focused on, all the things that I need to do in order to succeed, in order to show my worth, etc. So essentially what I do too is I will go into victim mode, like victim thinking, where everything I feel like and believe everything in life is happening to me instead of for me. And I'll start to sing that song of, poor me. And I'll start to compare notes with, about 80% of the population who live in this place of victim mentality where the world is a scary place, life is hard, all of these things. There's a lot of people out there that are going to reinforce those beliefs for us. And so what it does is it will keep me stuck in that cycle of stress because the people that I'm talking to are also stuck in a cycle of stress. And so we're just reaffirming how stressed out we are and comparing notes and comparing stories and one-upping each other around all of the things that we have to do. And what that does is it completely drains our energy. And so it was completely humbling for me to realize that this was my comfort zone in the past. And even though I have stepped outside of that and done a lot of work over the last 5 years, I was still getting sucked back in to that. We really want to be thinking about life can be easy. Life does not have to be as hard as we make it. Life does not have to be as hard as we believe it to be. As a matter of fact, if you're feeling tired and exhausted and so on right now, a lot of the thoughts that you're thinking that are reinforcing this cycle of stress and overwhelm, you can't believe any of them. A lot of these thoughts that you're having about the world and about life and about what you're capable of and what you're not capable of aren't even remotely true for you right now, because you're trapped in a cycle of seeing problems, a cycle of, seeing stress and so on. What we want to do is we want to start to recognize, okay, these are just thoughts. These are just beliefs and thoughts that I have, and I can make room for new, more empowering thoughts. So it's about recognizing that life doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle. Life can, in fact, be easy, and there can be ways that we can make life easier for ourselves and that we can create more fun in our lives that would bring greater ease and great grace to ourselves. We don't need to go out into the world and slay dragons all the time just because slaying dragons is what we've been conditioned to do. Not every path we're on has to have a dragon. There can be paths that can be easy and fun and interesting, and we don't need to be doing all of this extra work in order to achieve or in order to have and create what it is that we want for ourselves in our lives. So what if we allowed things to be easier? What if we started to replace some of the old thinking with new, more empowered thinking? So what if we started to ask ourselves questions like, so when that thought pops into our head, like life is so hard, what if we started to ask ourselves the question of, how can I make this easy? Or in what ways have I experienced ease in my life? Or what is the easiest path here? Or how can I make this more fun? Or who can I ask for help that would make this easier? There are lots of different questions that we can ask ourselves that will help us to reframe this belief that life is a struggle, that life is hard, that relationships are hard, that work is hard, that money is hard. We want to ask ourselves different questions that will release us from this ingrained thinking that we're only worthy of success, or we're only worthy of having what we want if we have worked ourselves to death in order to get it. When we ask ourselves questions like, how can this be easy, and what is the easiest path here, and so on, we start to shift our thinking to begin to focus on possibilities and away from problems. And when we do that, that creates more energy within us. And also worth noting, when other people see us doing this and they experience being around us, when we are having more fun and we are experiencing greater ease in our lives, then they're going to want to follow our lead. And not only that, we're going to start to attract people who have similar thinking and similar experiences, and they're going to show us ways that things can be even easier and even more fun, and so on. So I know that this is true because I've experienced it myself, and I've seen my clients experience it as well. So if you're ready to give this a try, let's do this together. All you need right now is a pen and a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is take in a few deep breaths. So a few deep cleansing breaths. So breathe in through your nose, take a nice deep breath in, fill your chest and your belly with air, and then just expel it all in a big breath. Do that a couple of times. And then I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the things that I say to myself that reinforce this idea that life is hard, or that life is a struggle? What are some things that I say to myself about life being hard or a struggle? And I want you to write it down. If you can come up with one, that's great. If you can come up with more than one, write down as many as you can think of. You can pause the video while you get them all out. But even if you have one to work with right now, that's all we need. Just some cues that might help you to get started if you're feeling a bit stuck. So just finish this sentence. Life is blank. People are blank. I am blank. Money is blank. The most important thing to know about happiness is, now this one's really going to get you to stretch your thinking, but you can use these prompts to get in touch with, okay, what are the thoughts that I have about these things that reinforce this idea that life is a struggle, that I have to struggle in order to show my worth. And then once you have a statement, I want you to cross it out, and underneath it, I want you to write an empowering question instead. So I want you to reframe that limiting belief or thought about struggle with a question that's going to open up possibilities for you. You can use the questions that I shared above. How can I make this easy? How has this been easy in the past? Or was this ever easy in the past? Who can help me with this that would make it easier? You get the idea. And then once you have done this, I would love it if you would share your old thought and your new one in the comments below. And if other people have shared, send them some love by liking or loving their posts so that we're all working together to raise each other up. I want you to then post this somewhere where it's visible to you every day. So it serves as a reminder to you that you are beginning to look through the eyes of conscious awareness, that you're becoming more aware of the fact that you are worthy of ease, that you are worthy of fun, that you are worthy of grace, that you are letting go of the belief that life is a struggle, that life is hard, and that you are inviting in a new set of beliefs, that life can be beautiful, life can be filled with ease, life can be filled with grace, etc. And remember that easy does not mean lazy, and it does not mean selfish. What it means is loving and honoring ourselves, treating ourselves with compassion and with grace so that we can show up with greater energy for the things and the people and the activities that we love the most in life. And when we do this, it often inspires the people around us to do the same. So I hope that you found value in this conversation. And if you did, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, please by all means go into the comment section and click the link where I have a free gift for you. And I hope to see you on my next post. Take care, be well, and remember, let it be easy.